Hello everyone. In this video we are going to continue with the Allied campaign series that we've been doing. This is the end screen of the previous video, the previous mission that we completed. So what we're going to do is just continue from here, and we're going to continue on to the fourth mission in the Allied campaign. I'm going to go ahead and click continue in the bottom right corner here. That is going to bring us right into the cutscene preceding the next mission.
I don't know what to Sam Hill happened back there, Commander, but as you can see, we're getting sent right here. I know, Canada. More cows up here than people. Well, let's get to work. The lieutenant will fill you in.
It looks like General Vladimir just hit Chicago hard. The nearest available forces are across Lake Michigan. Intel suggests an amphibious assault across the lake. Well, I guess there's a first time for everything. Good luck, Commander.
Pretty short video there.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by. Commander, our destroyer is the workhorse of the Navy. No naval unit can long hide from it, and once detected, it makes short battle control online.
Okay, so you'll notice right off the bat here, we've got a couple of these large turrets set up on these structures here. So before I bring my ships through this little opening, this gap here, I'm going to take these Rocketeers and destroy these turrets. And it may be quicker to use all four on one turret at a time rather than divide it up 2 and 2, but either way works just fine here. So this is the Grand Cannon. This is a defensive structure that is available to the Allied forces later in the game. And when we get into the skirmish missions, you'll see that there are a number of different nations that you can play as, you know, subcategories of the Allied and Soviet forces. And France is the one that has the capability of building this Grand Cannon here compared to other factions of the Allied forces that do not have that ability, but we'll get into that later. So now that those Grand Cannons are destroyed, what we're going to do is take our boats here and move through that gap in the structure in the wall here towards this shore. And you'll see we have a Soviet base set up here. So right off the bat, you'll notice there is a unit that we haven't seen yet. This is your destroyer, and we'll see what those are capable of in a moment here. And then we've also got these amphibious transports, and these do not have any offensive firepower. These are exclusively transport vehicles. You can see if you hover over them, you got these squares on the bottom, 1 blue followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red squares there, indicating the units that are inside. As you can see, if you hover over the different amphibious transports, they got different color squares there, indicating specific units being inside of those, which we will see unloaded on the shore here once we soften up these defenses, this base here with the destroyers. But in any case, I'm going to proceed with this mission here and move all these ships together into the harbor here. I'm going to use my Rocketeers to go in front of them a little bit and reveal some of this terrain. I don't want to get them too close to the shore because, as you can see, there is some anti-air. Oh, for example, that flak track noticed that those Rocketeers were in range and moved to the shore to begin firing at them. But because these amphibious transports do not have offensive capabilities, I'm going to use them. I'm going to keep them over behind the rest of the forces as I move these destroyers closer here to kind of keep them safe. And I'm going to go right in and take out this structure here. What this is the shipyard, and the Allies have a similar structure as well that they can construct, which we'll see in the future. Oh, they sold it. That's interesting. But that allows you to create your naval units, which we'll get into more later, like I said. Right off the bat, you'll notice that these destroyers have the capability of firing at units in the water as well as units on the shore, so long as they are within the range of the destroyers themselves. And likewise, those units on the shore here could fire back at them, as you saw with a Grizzly tank. You'll notice here that the Soviet forces have a couple submarines, these attack subs that have began to come in my direction and begin firing at my destroyers. You'll see they have a plane on the back, and that is how they attack these submarines. These planes will take off from the back of the destroyer and drop some missiles, some rockets, whatever we want to call them, on top of these attack subs. And that is how we will dispatch those there. And it looks like what I'm going to do here is, rather than take out every structure... Uh-oh. Oh no, that is not good. Our amphibious transports are being attacked by submarines here. So hopefully they didn't take out my mobile construction vehicle, but we're going to see. We might be in trouble here. So this little spot is cleared on the shore. And since we got all these amphibious transports on the land here, we're just going to begin unloading. And luckily we did, one of these amphibious transports got destroyed by this submarine, but luckily our mobile construction vehicle was not in the one that was destroyed, so we are able to continue with this mission here. But before I do anything else, I'm going to explore some of this unrevealed terrain here. And you'll notice the Soviet construction yard is kind of standing by itself here, so I'm wondering if I can take advantage of this and deploy my construction yard right next to it, and maybe get an engineer in this and have both Allied and Soviet technology here.
New construction options.
So you'll notice that is deployed now.
Commander, we have just received an intelligence report on Soviet activity in the Chicago area. This is a psychic amplifier. Our theory is that if turned on, it can do to the country what the psychic beacon did to Washington. General Carville wants you to find it and destroy it. Building. New construction options.
Standing by. Enemies.
Reinforcements have arrived.
So you'll see right off the bat, after that transmission comes through,
Construction complete.
explaining what the remaining objective is for this mission here.
Navigation systems.
We got a timer in the bottom right corner of the gameplay screen here. Estimated time until Psychic Amplifier is online. And we got about 50 minutes, although that is ticking down pretty quickly. That is beginning to tick down in that corner there. So essentially that's the time frame that we have to locate the amplifier and destroy it, which is the main objective of this mission, which is plenty of time. We'll see that shortly. We don't need to be in a rush here to construct our base necessarily.
Unit ready.
But like I said, it is seemingly going to be pretty easy to take over the Soviet technology here. And just like that, I now have the Soviet construction yard, which is going to allow me to build Soviet technology.
Fire zone confirmed.
New rally point established. Training.
So as you can see now that I got that Soviet construction yard taken over, if I go back to my buildings tab on the right side here, I have the ability to construct Soviet Tesla reactor, which is this guy here, this power plant. Rather than do that, I'm just going to throw some engineers in these three that are already constructed. I'm going to take over their ore refinery here as well.
New construction options.
I have the ability to construct an ore refinery if I wanted to, as well as a Soviet barracks.
Studying blueprint.
Construction complete.
Commencing assault.
New construction options.
Vehicle ready.
Repair.
Fire zone confirmed.
Building captured. Unit ready.
Need a repair? Analyzing schematic. Engineering.
Building
Alright, so I got my base, at least the initial part of my base built up here. I am going to construct a Soviet barracks, and you'll notice a number of other things as well. Once you get those 8 slots filled with the buildings that you can build, you'll see these arrows up here on the bottom of that tab, and you simply have to press that down arrow. That will scroll down and give you access to the remainder of the buildings that you have the ability to build there. But with that Soviet barracks, now I have the ability to train these Tesla troopers as well as the Soviet conscript. And I'm just going to continue on here. Let's go with the Allied War Factories, what I'm going to construct next. And like I said, the timer in the bottom corner kind of makes you feel as though you've got to rush this mission, but that's plenty of time, as you'll see shortly. You can really, don't lag too much, but you can take your time getting your base constructed to the point that you want it, without major fear that you're going to run up against that time before you fail the mission entirely. So we're just going to continue on constructing our base here. We're not going to worry too much about proceeding with this mission until we've got our base where we want it. And since we have the opportunity to do so while we construct our base, I'm going to use my Rocketeers to simply explore some more of this unrevealed terrain along the shoreline. Alright, and I'm going to build my Soviet War Factory as well, which will give me access to construct the Soviet tanks, as well as the Allied tanks that I have access to with my Allied War Factory. And I also got some reinforcements here. I'm going to see what's inside of these guys, these amphibious transports here, which looks like just some basic tank and infantry units. And I have very little use for these amphibious transports at this point, so I'm going to move them away, just so they're kind of out of my way. We'll just throw them right there, I suppose. Alright, now you'll notice that I have both the Allied War Factory and the Soviet War Factory. So if I click over to this Vehicles tab, I've got access to the basic tank units for both the Allies and the Soviets, as well as this anti-air unit for both the Soviets and the Allies. And I've got access to this guy here, which is a terror drone. And I'm not sure that this has been seen yet, so I'm going to demonstrate what that guy can do. Oh. Once I go up on this hill, kind of away from the valley that my base is constructed in, we're going to notice a lot more Soviet forces present with some buildings garrisoned and things like that. So we're pretty safe down here. Nothing has come our direction yet, as you can tell. But the moment you go up that hill, be prepared to meet some pretty serious Soviet forces up there. And let's see, what else do I need here? I think my base is pretty well constructed. And with all these units here, I'm not entirely concerned with wasting my time building defensive structures. I think these guys can handle the base defense for the most part, if they do decide to send anything my direction. And it looks like the harbor continues this way. Just gonna explore some of this unrevealed terrain and see where that takes me. Okay, so we got some sentry guns here firing off the cliffside, which, as you can tell, these destroyers can fire onto uneven terrain, essentially, for lack of a better term. So they can fire up onto the up onto this cliffside here, or whatever we'd like to call that, even though that's not even terrain. Whoa, okay, I might lose all my destroyers here. Looks like they have a pretty significant submarine force built up right there. So hopefully they don't follow me, because I think I'm out of luck. I'm going to have a lot of trouble taking out that many submarines with only 4 destroyers here, but we will find out if they follow me. No big deal either way. And it looks like they are following me. So what I'm going to do is build a naval shipyard. Hopefully I can repel some of these submarines. But instead of using my destroyers, I'm going to move my Rocketeers up here, and as long as there's no anti-air, that should be a pretty effective way to reveal some of this terrain. Man, I think my destroyers are goners here. Unless these submarines just attacked 2 of them and took off. Not sure why that's the case, but it looks like what they did. So I'm going to proceed with caution here, because I'm assuming there's going to be some anti-air, which there is a flat cannon set up right there. which kind of prevents my Rocketeers from going up here without being killed. But my approach here is going to be to combine the Soviet and Allied technology to make this a little easier for me, kind of like I did in the previous video. So before I get into that, I'm going to create this terror drone here just to kind of give an overview on what that guy can do.
Unit ready.
So you'll see this terror drone, if you choose to construct one, is just this spider-looking thing that is created in your war factory. And this is a piece of Soviet technology, so the reason I'm able to construct that is because I got an engineer in that Soviet construction yard and built up the base to the point where I can build that Soviet war factory and have access to this. But in any case, I'm not sure if he's going to make it here, but this unit is extremely effective. Oh, he's going to try. And of course he got destroyed. They do have a mind of their own, as you can see. He just kind of took off there, even though I didn't, you know, send him to attack anything. But in any case, this unit is effective against both infantry and tank units. So what you'll see here is this terror drone. He's probably going to get destroyed again, but we're going to use this one to take out this Tesla trooper here, just so you can see what he can do. Don't go off. I'm a little worried he's going to run off again. But if we have a situation where there are a number of forces just kind of standing idle here, the moment he runs up and attacks this Tesla trooper, you're going to notice that these other units in the area begin to fire at him. And so he's probably going to get destroyed pretty quick. He's only going to be able to take out this Tesla trooper and probably nothing else. But he can effectively take out infantry and tank units. So, no, don't do that. It's going to take a couple of terror drones to demonstrate that. You'll notice that after he takes out this Tesla trooper, he does kind of pause for a moment before moving on to the next target. So that's a weakness of these terror drones, is that they will, you know, attack the unit you send them towards, and then it takes a second for them to move on to the next unit that you want them to attack. So that leaves them vulnerable for a moment. But let's see what he can do. So you'll notice he just essentially just, the animation is him jumping onto that infantry unit, and then that infantry unit simply is killed. So that is what they can do against the infantry units. And I think I'll be able to get him inside of this V3 launcher here. And the animation will be similar. You'll see that this guy, this terror drone, jumps inside of that tank, and this is applicable to whatever tank you send him into, whether that be a V3 launcher or a flak cannon, flak track like this here. He's going to jump into it and disappear, and then you'll see this guy kind of start to lose health, and eventually when he gets damaged enough, you'll see smoke start to come out of the vehicle, and eventually it'll just be destroyed. So you'll see that here, so long as he can survive enough to get there. So he jumped inside there, and that's all there is to it. It just takes a couple seconds there, and then that vehicle is destroyed entirely. So it's an effective unit. You know, in this specific scenario with all these idle base defenses here, as well as the idle units, it's not entirely effective, just because he takes a second to regroup and attack his next target after he's taken, you know, the initial target out. But if you've got a large group of forces moving towards your base, and you just have a terror drone out there, so for example, if there were 10 Soviet conscripts moving towards our base, and we had a terror drone kind of just sitting idly right here, he would be effective in taking those guys out, compared to if they were just sitting there idle. They would be more apt to fire at him, and at that point they're pretty easy to take out. So you take the good with the bad with that unit. He can be effective in certain situations. You know, in this specific situation, like I said, with these idle troops, not the best, but that is what he can do. In terms of the actual mission, what I'm going to do is combine these IFVs with the Soviet Tesla troopers again, just like we did in the previous video, and see what I can, how far that can take me. That might be able to complete the entire mission. Wow, that, as you can see, I was trying to get my Rocketeers to take out this garrison building here, but that flat cannon right there has a very, very large range, and he was able to start firing at them even from that far away. So you'll have to be mindful of that.
Unit reporting. Unit reporting. Good to go.
I don't want to do this, but I'm going to use my Grizzly tanks here to hopefully
Driver up.
Unit
take
ready.
out this
Roll.
Unit
garrison
ready.
building here.
Unit lost.
There we go.
Good to go.
Another factor that you can consider here,
Unit promoted.
it's not exactly
ready.
perfect, but if you can position these,
Away, sir.
essentially
Insufficient funds.
essentially any tank
Unit
actually,
ready.
if you can position them correctly, they're
Good to
able
go.
to run over the
Bound forward.
opposing infantry and just squish them rather than having to
Yes, sir.
fire at them
Yes, sir.
entirely. I'll have
On
to
our way, sir. Yes, sir.
find myself in a situation where it's more easy to demonstrate what that looks like, but we'll do that in the future. So in terms of this objective here, the storyline goes that we're in Chicago right now, and there is a psychic amplifier that has been constructed by the Soviets, and the fear is that that can possess major mind control abilities, like we saw in the cutscene before this. The fear is that that mind control ability could be powerful enough to mind control the entire United States.
On hold.
Yes, sir.
Cancel.
Securing position. Good to go.
So with that in mind,
Bound forward.
we're going to move these guys in a little closer,
Driver
see
up.
if we can take out this little post of all these defenses and units here, and continue moving forward. What is that?
Rockets in the
Yeah, you'll notice a number of times during this
Reinforcements have arrived.
mission, we've got that reinforcements have arrived message, and we got a couple more amphibious transports earlier that were just kind of given to us, and we got a few Rocketeers here
Steady flow. And over.
at the top of the screen that were given to us as well.
Over. Up and over.
And so long as I have the
Pushing
time,
away. I got him.
I'm just going to use these guys to continue exploring some unrevealed
I'll
terrain.
take the high road. Pushing away. Got a steady flow.
Just for the fun of it, we've got 18 more minutes before that amplifier turns on, so we got plenty of time to complete our objective. And I'm just going to take that time to explore this map a little bit and see what I can find, if anything.
Igniting. Got a steady flow. Rockets in the sky. Riding high. Pushing away.
So it appears that on this side of the map there's not much to see in terms of enemy forces.
Up and over.
You'll notice a couple buildings that look a little different than the average civilian building here. So we've got a hospital right here, and we've got this airfield looking building right here, a tech airport.
And over.
And if I can get my forces over here, which it looks like I can just
Igniting boosters.
fix this bridge,
Riding
so long as
high.
theast too much resistance here.
Boosters.
I'm going to explore this unrevealed terrain and see if there's going to be any resistance that I meet if I fix that bridge. It looks like there will be, but nothing too crazy.
I have the tools.
So let's
I won't be
take...
late.
New rally point established. Building. Training. On hold.
Let's take this
I
engineer,
have the tools.
Unit ready.
and I'm going to put him in this bridge repair hut
Unit ready.
Studying
to fix
blueprints.
this bridge. And we're going to take them across the bridge,
Yes, sir.
and I will show you what these tech buildings do.
I have the tools. I won't be late.
Bridge repaired.
Unit reporting. Engineering. Yes, sir. Bound forward. Bound forward.
So with that bridge repaired, I'm going to put an engineer in this IFV and take him across this bridge really quickly. And I try to avoid that sentry gun, which looks like we were able to do successfully,
On our way, sir.
and keep moving him towards this tech airport here. And once I get there and I take this engineer out of this IFV and put him in this tech airport,
Tech building
Destination
captured.
forward.
you'll see that we have this new option in our defense
Unit
tab,
lost.
which
Unit
says
promoted.
paradrop. And you'll notice that that's going to begin slowly ticking down. And what that does when that that's just going to be something that we have available to us for the remainder of this mission, so long as this doesn't get destroyed. If the tech airport got destroyed, we would lose the ability to have these paratroopers, these paradrop, available to us. However, when that is ready, essentially you can click that, and anywhere on the map you can left click, and that will allow you to drop. I'm not entirely sure how much the number is. I'm going to guess it's around 8 GIs anywhere on the map, and you will have those available at your disposal. So that should be available at least once to us to kind of demonstrate that before the end of this mission here. Another perk of acquiring these tech buildings is that essentially acts as an extension of your base the moment you capture it. So as you can see, I can construct further base, further buildings or even base defenses from this point. So I can build a barracks right there, select that as my primary building, build another engineer from there, which is much closer to this tech hospital here, rather than build another engineer from my main base way over here and, take the time to send him walking all the way this direction. But if I put an engineer in this tech hospital here, what we're going to see is... Let's wait till he gets in there. So what we should see now is that all of our units... I guess we don't have a perfect example of this because these guys haven't been attacked yet. But with that tech hospital, what you'll see is that all of your infantry units will auto-heal. So if the Soviet forces launched an attack and some of these GIs got injured and their health bar was slightly decreased, those would gradually tick back up on their own, and they would auto-heal because I have that tech hospital. So we've also got the paradrop that is ready. So I'll demonstrate that. Now I'll just drop next to this hospital. So all you got to do is left click that paradrop, left click wherever you'd like those to appear. And so long as your plane survives, which it might not, looks like it did. So that will send a plane headed to wherever you clicked that you wanted that paradrop to occur. And you'll see these GIs jump right out, and those are now at our disposal once they land.
Ready to roll. Closing in. I can go anywhere. They won't see us coming.
So now we're at the point where we need to proceed with this mission.
Fire zone confirmed. Closing in. Closing in.
And go about destroying this amplifier.
High speed, low drag.
So if we can get our units on this bridge here, we can fire off the bridge pretty easily. And this is the amplifier right there, so it's not far from your main base. It's actually very close. And like I said, the time in this bottom right corner is not really a concern because it's not really a difficult mission to find and destroy this amplifier once you set your sights on doing that. So the moment we destroy this amplifier, that's going to conclude the mission. Really, despite the fact that there are more Soviet forces here, it is not part of the main objective to destroy all the forces on the map in this particular mission. The main objective is simply to destroy that amplifier. So the moment we do this, all I got to do is left click to attack it. And the moment that's destroyed, that's going to go right into a cutscene, and that's going to conclude this mission. So it's a pretty simple one. You got a timer on there, but it does tick down much faster. Like, I don't believe that was 40 minutes worth of time. It seems like that's ticking down faster than what, a true 4 minutes and 45 seconds would be. But in any case, you don't really have to rush yourself in order to successfully complete this mission, even with that timer down there. But it is something to keep in mind. If you completely ignore it and that runs out, obviously you're going to fail this mission and have to start completely over. But in any case, from here, what I'm going to do is destroy this.
4 minutes remaining.
And shortly here, we'll jump right into the cutscene.
Incoming transmission. Commander, they never saw us coming. That was splendid.
Hear me, you foul American phantom, wherever you are. You can work your armies like a puppeteer all you want, but this is my play. Here is the city that you have saved. Without the psychic amplifier, which you so rashly destroyed, I no longer have much use for it. Behold the power of Mother Russia!
3 minutes remaining.
So as you can see, the storyline there goes, after you destroy that psychic amplifier, the Soviet forces just nuke the city of Chicago, and the storyline will continue from there. But it looks like our par time was 30 minutes. You can see that in the bottom here. And our time was 30 minutes and 9 seconds, so technically we didn't meet that par time. So our message up at the very top: your rank is Sergeant Major. The psychic amplifier was destroyed, but not before the Soviets gained valuable test data about its effects. In spite of the tragic loss of Chicago, however, you've saved the entire nation from falling under the influence of the Soviets' most powerful psychic weapon. So just a generic message up top there. And essentially that's all we got for you for the 4th Allied mission here. In the next video we will continue on with this Allied campaign. But that just about does it for this mission.